right, well, after last week's presidential debate, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris are getting ready for their own debate in Salt Lake City, Utah. And joining us now on a Zoom call to talk about what to expect is Tracy Brame. She is the Associate Dean of WMU's Cooley Law School. Thanks for joining us. And of course, we want to start with perhaps the obvious question. In the past, vice presidential debates haven't taken on a whole lot of weight in factoring in who voters are going to decide to choose between. But this year is certainly different. The president just recently tested positive for COVID-19 and is now fighting that from Washington, D.C. Do you think this is the most important vice presidential debate in history?
Good evening. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. I guess time will tell whether it turns out to be the most important in history, but it certainly has taken on a renewed significance. Or an outsized significance than previous debates, right? I mean, you just named it well. We have a president who has had a diagnosis of COVID. We have the two oldest presidential candidates in history. And so in many ways, these two vice presidential candidates are, could very well find themselves, right, taking on the role as president, either during their president's term, or certainly they could be presumptive nominees for 2024. So in many ways, the distinction between Kamala Harris and Mike Pence is an important one for the electorate.
Right. And you did mention, of course, President Trump did test positive for COVID-19 after the last debate. What, if any, new protocols are in place that they need to be paying attention to during this VP debate?
So absolutely. And, there was a concern that they were even holding the debate in person, right, because of the diagnosis and because of the uncertainty surrounding the circle that President Trump might have exposed or affected, et cetera. But they are, putting precautions in place, such as a plexiglass shield, and the audience is going to be expected to wear masks, et cetera. So, what happened a couple of weeks ago at the Oval Office in the Rose Garden certainly has impacted the way that the debate is being held this evening.
Yeah, and of course, some format changes as well, whereas the presidential debate was 6 15-minute topics. Now, tonight, we're going to get 9 10-minute topics. Of course, we'll find out what those are a little later. But to that point, what do you think is the role of the moderator? It's going to be tonight Susan Page. She's the Washington bureau chief for USA Today. Chris Wallace had a lot of trouble from Fox News kind of wrangling the candidates in the last one. What do you think will be the role of tonight's moderator in keeping things under control?
Absolutely. As you stated, Susan Page is a very experienced moderator. I think she'll do well. She has two very different debaters tonight. One of the things that I think will be different about this debate is that it should be more substantive in the sense that I think both debaters will be relatively civil, and it'll be their job, right, to represent their candidate and to really explain in a very substantive way what distinguishes the two of them, right? To represent the policy positions of the candidates. And I think that Susan Page's job will be to kind of drive the discussion to parse through that. But again, Kamala Harris is an experienced prosecutor who is well-versed in many things, and Mike Pence is a former talk show host. Both of them certainly know their positions very well and are very well spoken. And so I think that one of the things that viewers will see is that hopefully this debate, you won't have to deal with kind of so many, I guess, insults and things going back and forth, but maybe more of a discussion about whatever the 9 topics are they decide to talk about.
Yeah, and we do want to break a little bit more into that in our next hour. We're going to have you back on, Tracy Brame from WMU Cooley Law School. We appreciate your time this hour. We'll see you pretty soon.
Thank you very much.